the first time Dave's and Mampinja's issue came out, and the whole Masichaba thing basically, and then Mampinja was on Sunday, yo, I want to make a statement, I want to blah, and he put out an apology. So our argument was centered around that. So this guy was like, yo, but you know, Mampinja apologized, and so you know, he acknowledges what he did was wrong. To which I responded, no, he doesn't. Because the way his apology landed with me was, he was apologizing for the fact that he went to that extreme. Yeah. He was apologizing for the fact that it was that bad, but not that he did it.
Or that it's bad at all.
Yes. So my issue was that, because I was saying
how bad it is.
I can name drop guys who don't see this as abusing, but as disciplining, as keeping her in line, right? And so when someone, regardless of how I may feel about Mampinja personally, worthless piece of scum, that's just me. But there's someone who's, for the most part, an abuser, who'd be looking at him, and anything from him that is less than I was wrong to even think about raising my hand on her is a loophole for him to hide behind, right? So if I do whatever to mine, and yeah, I'm sorry I put her in hospital, I'm sorry she got a concussion, I'm sorry she got stitches, right? I'm apologizing for everything except for I'm sorry I hit her. So as an abuser,
and even if you are, you see, that's the other thing.
In the midst of everything, you still have people trying to have debates or dialogues or conversations around, but what happens to the false accusers? You understand? In the midst of, we have a crisis.
Yeah.
And you still want to debate that, yo, but what happens to the ones who are wrongfully accused? Because that happens too. Right? And it's part and parcel of what you're talking about with the male privilege. Of saying we are so scared of losing that privilege so much that we find easier ways of diverting from the real issue. Because why are we having a conversation about, but what happens when people are wrongfully accused? That's a minority.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, the majority are suffering. And now you are actually taking a minority issue and you're trying to put it on the same scale. You understand? Same way when white people trying to argue white privilege. I said, what do you mean? I'm not benefiting. It's the exact same thing. So to say, you know, so you're trying to scale
what about
it.
the good whites?
Yeah, what about the good, you know?
So not all of us are racist.
Yeah, you know, I have black friends too. This type of situation, you know. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it bothers me that we don't have, and this is a question I want to pose to you guys. I don't have an answer to this. How do we keep a constant base in terms of keeping with the momentum? Because I'll tell you one thing, I personally liked what was going on in the past 2-3 weeks from a conversations perspective. Right? I liked it because, and I love the fact that women took ownership and they were spearheading the different movements. And they were spearheading the conversations around, it's time for us to own up and actually stand up to the bullies who are the perpetrators. Because for the longest of time, perpetrators are bullies because they have the male privilege, right? So they can push narratives, right? So now, for the past few weeks, whether niggas were trying to divert or whatever the case might be, women kept us in check and said, no, we're still here. We're still talking about this.
Yeah.
And then there was this movement of ousting niggas.
Yeah.
Right? In the midst of this movement ousting niggas, right? It also raised other fundamental questions. Né? And I'll even put it to myself. There's certain people who were ousted, who were being called out. Others were called abusers, physically, via sexually, whatever the case might be, right? And obviously when someone is ousted, someone tries to explain themselves. They say, no, but here's what I did, whatever the case might be, right? And there's certain instances that actually prompted me to even introspect on myself in my previous relationships and how I handled things in my previous relationships, and was I abusive in any way or another. And it's a hard pill to swallow when you have to admit to yourself that you were abusive.
Yeah.
You understand?
That's the worst one.
Yeah,
That's
like
the worst
you know.
one.
So that's the beauty of those conversations, because then when you look at it and you're like, actually, we are fucking a problem.
The other thing is you're reading all sorts of things. Niggas you know, niggas you don't know.
Yeah.
But it goes from extreme things like drugging women and then having your way with them to just fucking catcalling. And that's the thing for us, I think.
And then there was instances where people try to gauge that.
Yeah,
So, but I was just catcalling.
Yeah, and
that
that's
other nigga drugged her.
I'm gonna go to that.
And that's the thing.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I think for
yeah.
us, that's where our male privilege comes in. That we don't even notice that something as small as you driving past a hand and you're like, "What do you do, baby?" You know? Like she might feel uncomfortable. She's like, "What the fuck? What does this guy want?"
You
from
don't
me?"
even know me, bruh.
Yeah, and to you it's just that's how. To us, I think even you know.
That's like
Because you know the concept of Hoshela, whatever. It's always been, it's something that you're like, no, you gotta do, man. Like you see a honey walking in the street, you have to walk up to him and be like, hey, what are you? You know? So, and the thing is, we've never known that some of these things can make women feel uneasy, especially at this day and age, you know, because they never know who to trust.
Exactly.
As Amachans, every time like we talk to girls, we always be like, hey, and then like there's a fleet coming up, and then like most girls like hate that shit, cause like in their perspective is like that nigga is taking me as like I'm a bitch or I'm a dog that can be taken for granted and can be used for everything they want to use. So like in this issue, rape must be like a life sentence issue, and I feel like the law should should be
I don't
more
know.
like the law should be more like protective against women, cause like without woman there's no life.
I feel like our justice system is also letting us down though. If there's one thing, with these kind of crimes, I feel they should be, in fact, with crime in general, I feel like there should be harsher kind of measures. Let me make an example. I mean, do you know how hard it is to go to jail in other African countries, for instance?